Alright guys, today I'm exploring the question that has come up recently in a post by someone I follow, Scottweston. The initial idea is something that came to me when I first learned about Steemit, and I had similar questions about it, and I recently saw a post by Scott, and it kind of reminded me of my journey from just learning about Steemit to exploring more about it, and basically coming to the conclusion that I did arrive at. So do go and check Scott's initial post. I'm gonna put a link in the description of the video. I think his question and his explanations make a lot of sense. But I think my viewpoint or my approach or my angle on this is a bit different than his. So let's see if it makes sense to you. So is Steemit a Ponzi scheme or not, or a pyramid scheme, or a fraud of some sorts? That's something that I had to overcome initially, and I'll basically walk you through of the things that came to my mind, what I thought, and my reasons and my explanations. Maybe I kind of convinced myself that it is or it is not, and let's see if you guys agree with that. So the first thing is, why should you care about you as in is someone who is already established on Steemit, or maybe you are brand new to Steemit? Why should you care for what I have to say? I think from both ends, if you are someone already established in Steemit and your feeling is you already know it's not a Ponzi scheme, well, you probably had the same question that I did, or maybe you didn't. But I can tell you, a lot of people have this line of questioning when they first learn about Steemit. So I think it's worthwhile exploring that and having some crisp and accurate answers for such questions that come to mind. And keep in mind, I'm not any sort of a crypto expert or any expert in programming or finance, blockchain or economics, none of that. But I am what you would say a tech-savvy person. So, and I am interested in making content for platforms. It may be YouTube, but YouTube has its own issues. It may be on Steemit, and I believe a majority of the people would fall in this category of tech-savvy users who are interested in creating content and or curate content. So I think there's value in exploring questions or concerns from that point of view, as much as they seem like to someone who's an expert in crypto, they may seem like stupid questions. Someone who may be an expert in finance or economics, they may seem like not in-depth. It may seem like not an in-depth analysis, but you know what? Majority of us are going to be asking these questions, so it's worthwhile exploring that. I think I'm repeating myself at this point. So it's part of the onboarding process for this platform. People are going to come across these hurdles. And you know what? The more people join the platform, either ways, as a creator or as a curator, I think it's better for people who are already on Steemit, and it's better for people who are just browsing it. Maybe more people join it, there's more value in the platform, so on and so forth. So that's kind of like my disclaimer and my basic reasoning for why even bother exploring this question from a non-expert viewpoint. I don't consider myself an expert in any of these topics, Bitcoin or crypto or blockchain, none of that. But you know what? It's a part of life now, so we have to deal with it. Sorry. So some of the questions that came to me, my mind, when I was reading about Steemit, learned about Steemit, the first question that came to me was, who is paying all this money? Like the attraction of the platform is, hey, you make good content and you get paid for it. Well, all of us already know what YouTube is and how we get paid on their advertisements, right? And then there are no advertisements on Steemit as such. There's promotion, but it's at very initial stages. So, and I don't think advertisement is a model meant for Steemit anyway. So it seems like eventually it's coming out of somebody's pocket. So who's paying for all this? The second concept I came through was, hey, you just click on posts and you make money by doing that. I think all of us have heard that before. That kind of yeah, for the lack of better words, for such frauds. We've all heard about such frauds that, hey, if you click on such and such thing, we'll make money, that kind of a thing. And then in more detail that, hey, if all of that is true, can't just you and me like each other's stuff and keep making money in perpetuity and just keep churning the money pit, and money keeps coming out of that. And the last thing is the pervasive use of bots on the platform. It's just not common when you compare it with other platforms. I personally could associate this word bots with it because of my personal experience, something of that of a hack or some kind of automated click or like system. And I've seen a lot of those for almost every platform, right? So Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, each one of these have quote-unquote bots that have been out in the market, which will, like, for X amount of dollars will get you Y amount of likes and so on. Although now I think this word has picked up a new meaning with the Facebook bots being adopted officially. I think it's still, at least in my mind, and I would imagine in some of your mind, bots is something that is associated with it has a negative connotation to me. So let's try and explore these questions and see if it makes sense, or and whether Steemit is a Ponzi scheme or not. Basic premise of this presentation, I suppose. All right, so if I can click here. So this is basically a screenshot from a very well written article somebody wrote on Steemit, and I'll put the link in the description. So who's paying this money? So first thing we need to understand is I think it's important to understand where the value lies on Steemit or any other platform. If you have value, something unique that you have to offer, that can easily be exchanged for currency, money, something liquid, right? So you get education, so you go and get a degree that allows you to exchange that value that you have earned of knowledge for a dollar amount when you get a job, right? Similar to other examples that we'll see, value, if you have that, can be exchanged for money or currency. If you have a home that is already paid off, there's value in it, there's equity in it, and you can get a loan against it. So it seems like the first explanation they give is a blockchain-based software network creates Steem dollars to be used as currency from loans on the value of Steem digital assets. Steem digital assets represent the ownership of the software network and have value because they're useful and they're scarce. it kind of makes sense that, hey, they have come up with a unique platform of overlaying media tokens over cryptocurrency, or blockchain-based distributed means of distributing coins or value in or currency in that sense, right? So let's talk about value. So one big part of value is deemed digital assets, and it seems like they can take a loan against it from some institutions, some investors. And then I think one thing that I saw that was not addressed in this article was there's a lot of value in eyeballs, in the number of people who visit your website. If you were to oversimplify Facebook and compare it with MySpace, basically both of them are just platforms for distributing information in two different ways, and Facebook just found a way of engaging more eyeballs, hence became more valuable. So it's not just the digital assets, but it's also popularity amongst creators, curators, and just people who just browse it, and that accumulates over time. So and that's how I think a lot of venture funding works. So if you can show not only that you have a digital assets technology, you can also show that, hey, you have a user base or a visitors of site which is growing, as I say, hockey stick growth. If you can show that, anybody would loan you money. So in theory, they could use that money to pay out people. So the next part I found interesting in that article was digital assets can be used as money, act like company shares, or be used to access specific digital resources. The more people use any particular digital asset, the more they are worth. That's in my experience, a concept that is applicable to cryptocurrency as a whole, right? The more people use any means of any currency, it gets more valuable. And well, that's kind of like the same thing like the eyeballs on the website, but in a different form. It's a more committed way of showing your interest once you start transacting in that currency. And you can think of coins as similar to company shares. So we're just calling them coins now. If this was a well, it's actually, the terminology is very simple: ICO, IPO, initial coin offering, initial public offering. So it's just that it's not done in the same way. So you're kind of buying stocks or shares in a company or earning them by doing work, and they're paying you off based on the assets that they have and promised potential for future, right? That's where they're getting the money from. Another interesting thing I found in that article was anything can and has been used as a currency: seashells, beads, cows, tobacco, gold, real estate, silver. But various commodities or assets have been used as money at different times in history and in different situations and geographies. Commodities or assets have better characteristics as a medium of exchange. If you have something of value, you can loan money against it. You can issue stocks, and people can earn stocks. So far, the world we have lived in, before pre-cryptocurrency world, we were confined to using fiat currency, and now it's just that we've moved on to different shares or stocks called coins now, right? So they can issue coins, and coins have value if more people use it, if more people visit the website. Their assets become larger, and they can take more loans against it. Maybe they don't need to keep taking loans. If enough people visit it, enough people invest in it, or enough people promote on the website. I mean, that's the basic business plan, right? So to me, it kind of makes sense. Who's paying for money? They have a loan against their assets. They're using that to initially pay off. The concern with that is if something similar to like a bank run would happen, would Steemit or whomsoever owns it, I don't even know who owns Steemit right now, or is the currency different than the platform? I'm not sure. Will the Steemit be able to support that? For whatever reason, if panic sets in, right? Steemit is, let's say, transacting at one Steam for $4 or something right now. And if everybody decides there's no value in it for whatever reason, and everybody tries to sell it, the value will fall, sure. But can there be a situation where, or on the corollary, that a lot of people are making a lot of money and Steemit just doesn't have enough liquid cash to pay everyone off? I think that's the concern, or the pro and con analysis. That's the con I see. It's possible that the value that you hold in Steam can fall to nothing, and you may have invested a lot of money in it, but that's similar to any other investment you would make in life. It's not something unique to Steemit. I just think that the Steemit is operating in a more unregulated environment where there's more risk of something like that happening, whereas if it was a bank, although banks are regulated much more strictly than cryptocurrency is, they still make mistakes and they still go bankrupt and whatnot. They still crash the economy, but they do end up getting bailouts and whatnot. So that's the one negative I see, that I cannot find an answer for it right now. I just found this amusing video on YouTube for a bank run. Let's just watch it quickly. Doesn't look like I've set it up correctly, and I'm not gonna be able to play it and still have the audio on. Let's give it a shot anyways. Or will it go to YouTube from here? Bart Simpson starts a bank run. I don't think it's gonna work out the way I thought it would. You know what? Think of it as a gift. No audio. So that can happen. So going back to the initial slide where I had all these concerns, who's paying all this money, and then second was clicking links for money. Does that sound familiar? Well, that's just a very surface level reading of how you make money, and it's very misleading if somebody says that. And a lot of articles do say that, kind of lure you in as a new user. The thing is, no two clicks have not no two clicks, but your click doesn't have the same value as my click, and my click doesn't have the same value as perhaps Ned's click. So as you can see, Ned's click is worth of more or less $184.61 or Steam dollars, I think, and my vote is worth not even 6 cents, it seems, right? So actually it's if you round it off, it's 7 cents. So I think the point is to get to this level where you one click from you means $185. You have to put in a lot of work, increase your reputation, increase your Steam power, and or invest a lot of money in it. So either ways, you gotta work, you gotta put equity in it. It can be sweat equity. You create a lot of content and you earn your equity that way, or you can put money in it. Once you are invested in the platform, that's when you get the real value for your clicks, meaning anything substantial. And once you're invested that much, you're gonna be incentivized to click content that adds more value to platform versus going the click farm route, where where you just farm out your clicks to someone, they're not going to worth much. So the price of creating one click for a very new account versus the price needed to run that algorithm, create that algorithm, create new accounts and run that, if that equilibrium is ever in favor of creating those accounts and clicking that, I'm sure people will do it. But it's not going to be any different than, let's say, when you get random newly generated accounts on Facebook, buying clicks or buying likes rather on Facebook. It's not worth anything at all. If it doesn't distribute your post, those accounts are not going to be active. So it's very similar to any other platform in that sense. It's just that the dollar amount is associated with your click, or on other platforms it's implicit and implied value, which still is not much if you're using click farms. I cannot think of a good use case for using a click farm so far for Steemit. And let's see, what was the third question? Can me and my squad just like each other's stuff? So let's say, people are not going through the click farm route, and they're rather kind of liking each other's stuff. And but if we're a group of 30 people who keep liking each other's posts and keep making money in perpetuity, that's again not unique to Steemit. I know for a fact that these kind of shout outs or groups exist and operate on every other social network. Instagram, you get sponsored posts, or if not sponsored, you can, if you're part of a group, you like each other posts, you kind of help each other grow. It happens on every platform. It's just not that visible to the outside public. And over there, again, the value created is implicit. You gain followers, but those followers eventually translate into some dollar amount, right? The fourth point is bot culture and chain reaction. So just the words and the statements used on Steemit, like bots are everywhere, and that's not something that is looked upon very positively outside. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe that has been just my experience, right? But that's just something like associated with fraud click activities. And automated, if they call it something else like scheduler, automators, I think it doesn't sound that fishy, and it's more of an optics issue to some extent. If people just put a auto liker for posts by XYZ, and they have some real value associated with their vote, if they have some arrangement behind the scenes that I'll just like everything that you post, and you give me some dollar amount in exchange of that, I don't think that's a good system to have for Steemit, but that's where we are at. And these are the kind of things where the owner of and the admins of the platform need to think and block or somehow impede such bots and such automated. Take a page from Facebook and Instagram and Twitter's book, right? They had APIs. Initially they allowed everyone to do everything, and later on they kind of restricted the activities or tasks you can do from API. I think it's gonna go the same route with Steemit. My personal view is it should not be that automated. That the level of bot culture I see on Steemit, I'm not in favor of that. And the chain reaction thing is, convinced Steam user, and I consider myself one, they want to pull in more people to Steam, and that sort of chain building system you'd also see in Ponzi scheme. It's not, there may not be causality because of that behavior. Just because you want to pull in people to your platform doesn't mean it's a Ponzi scheme, but look at it from the perspective of the other person, it certainly, there are certainly parallels to be seen in both cases. And if you don't do a good enough job, it can appear as a Ponzi scheme. So you have to be able to scratch below the surface and have some crisp and accurate explanation of things to make sure people get it. And that's kind of like my overall conclusion on this. On surface, if you don't understand and give it some thought and time, the statements people make you think that this is a Ponzi scheme, potentially. And I think having some healthy skepticism about it is a good thing. You probably don't want to just blindly accept that, right? But I think I've convinced myself it's not a Ponzi scheme. I've talked about it through these slides. Maybe let's see, what was the initial slide? Do you have better explanations for these questions? And maybe you do, and I want to hear them in comments. Do tell me, and maybe I can do a better job of talking about Steemit with other users who are new and want to join Steemit but have some healthy dose of skepticism about it. I think the most important thing is, what is the end goal? The end goal, or those very high level goals that Steemit would want to achieve. So I think all the issues we've discussed so far can be lumped into logistical, policy, and permissions issues that can be handled very easily, as long as Steemit lends itself to create uncensored, not ad-dependent curated content, and the value that people already put into YouTube and Reddit. So YouTube, I think, is much more focused now on big creators, big brands, and they're done with the small creators. So that's obviously the big opportunity here for Steemit to grab those small creators, and which, in my opinion, create much more interesting content. And then we have Reddit, which I like Reddit a lot, but then you put in a lot of work, comment-wise, curation-wise, and they have a karma system, I think, or something like that. I'm not sure completely about it, but that's just basically reputation. Your reputation is increased on the social media, but on Steemit, you convert that into actual dollars, and the real value is going to be eyeballs. So if you get more eyeballs on Steemit, people have a chance to understand it more, and that, I think, it depends on uncensored, not ad-dependent curated content. Everybody already voting, liking, disliking. You're devoting your time and your brain or your head bandwidth. It's just time to be financially compensated for the same. And to put it simply, and I just borrowed this snapshot from a website, and I'll share that link in the description. Steemit basically allows you to go from social capital to actual capital. So we heard a lot about social capital previously in the last 7-8 years. And let's see, Susan Merritt of social media, which says, I don't know who that is, but I liked her definition. Social media capital represents the value which is developed by connections, reputation, and influence. Connections, who you follow, and reputation. We have a reputation on Steemit. Influence, your steam power, right? So we have an equivalent for all of these. Social media concepts, and we've just converted that to dollar amount. That's what I understand the whole smart media tokens to be, and it depends on referral, 3R rules: referral, recommendation, reputation. Kind of all makes sense, and I think my conclusion is that it's not a Ponzi scheme, is just converting social capital to actual capital, and blockchain enables it to do it. That's where I'm at, and I would really like to hear from you guys what you think about it. My Steemit username is it's time. So if you want to follow me, you can follow me there. If you don't want to follow me, that's fine. And what I'm really interested in is hearing your comments about it, and perhaps continue the conversation in the comments. All right, that's it for now. See you guys later. Bye.